I have Pitmaster Chloe with me here this morning, and we are making pulled pork on the smoker. We have the smoker fired up. We're getting it to about 275, 300. So let's get our pork butt prepped. One thing that I always like to do with this is I trim it off so that we have about anywhere from 1/4 of an inch to 1/8 of an inch of fat around the top. The reason for that is more than that, and it's too much fat and you don't have all your fat mixed in there. Storm is trying to smell it too. And then one thing I always do with pork butts is I take my knife and I drag it across the top. If they run this piece of meat through the bandsaw too quickly, you'll get a lot of little bone chunks. You can see this little pieces of powdered meat and bone. I just want to get that off there. Additionally, I'll feel the pork butt for any loose pieces of bone like this. I want to pull this off now because after it's smoked, it's really hard to see and it's really hard to identify, and that's not pleasant as you're eating it. You get a little chunk of bone. So that feels pretty good. Check this side. Feels pretty good. And then we're going to trim off anything that doesn't look desirable to eat. So there's a good little chunk of fat here. I'll cut that off. Mostly though, what I'm looking at is I'm going to trim this down to be a little thinner. And then Chloe, she is going to put our rub on there. And what I like to do is I like to put a little bit of prepared mustard on it that acts as a binder to get the rub to stick. And then we put our seasoning on. And I'm trimming this less than 1/8 of an inch, but I can see there's a little fat ribbon in here. So right underneath this little piece of meat, there's a whole bunch of fat, so that'll render out just fine. Can you repeat some again?
Yeah.
Okay, I got my pork butt trimmed. I lightly scored the fat on the top just so the flavor and penetration can get through it. Okay, you want to mustard it up, and then we will season it. Then we'll do our other butt. Okay, so that should be ready for seasoning. And pork butt doesn't have a whole lot of, well, it's very thick. It doesn't have a whole lot of flavor. So we're going to go very heavy on the seasoning. And if you don't have a favorite rub you like to use, I'll have the rub I use listed below. And if you wonder why it's so red, that's because it has paprika in there. And we've made this up. It was make a big batch at a time. It's about a month old. So the paprika has leached out its color into all of the granulated onion, granulated garlic, and salt. Let's get over here just a little bit. Perfect, kiddo. That looks beautiful. Okay, I'm going to cut and season our other our other butt, and we'll get it on. Good job holding it up high. When you hold it up high and you shake it, it has more time for the spices to kind of disperse and come down, and it doesn't clump. I'm trying to avoid clumping. That should be good, kiddo. Pat that in, and then we'll put it in the smoker. Dirty hand, clean hand. Okay, there's some spots we got just a little bit of mustard. We just cover those up just a little bit, and we shouldn't have to pat any more on there. And we'll put it in here. I'll pull out the tray, kiddo, and you don't have to wipe your hand yet, kiddo. I'll pull out the tray. If you want to put the butt on there, we'll put both of them on this. Good job. Okay, and we're going to smoke this for 5 hours, and we're going to use oak, and we're running it again at about 275, 300. After 5 hours, we'll wrap it and we'll let it go till it's done. Okay, it's been about 5 hours, and we have enough smoke on here, as much smoke as I want for flavor. So we're going to pull it out and wrap it. What the wrapping is going to do is it's going to allow it to keep cooking, and we're putting in some apple cider vinegar. That vinegar is going to help break down the meat even more, and it's going to add moisture. And so the meat is going to steam in its own fat and juices, and that'll make it even more tender. And we're going to be able to tell it when it's done, but we'll be able to grab the bone and pull it out easily. So we'll wrap that up, kid. Pull this side up. Is it hot? Hot. And I always like to do 2 layers. I have this layer wrapping it, and I have a layer underneath, because if this gets punctured, all that moisture and juice that we've been trying to keep, it's all going to run out. So this will just protect our little foil boat. All right, we got those on. We're going to give it 2.5, 3 hours, and I'm going to check it, and we'll show you how we check it for tenderness and if it's done. So see you in about 2.5 hours. Okay, it's been 3 hours, and we're going to go ahead and check the butts. So pull one out, close it to retain some heat. Okay, you want to check if it's ready?
Yeah.
So the way you can tell is if the bone comes out easily.
Can't get a good grip.
And that's coming out pretty easily and clean, so I'm going to say that's done. We'll go ahead and pull these, and we'll loosely wrap it. Okay, so you can see the bone came out clean. It came out pretty easily. So we're going to go ahead and loosely wrap it and cover it. Just kind of like this. And we're going to let it rest about 2 hours. Don't worry about letting it go that long. There's so much heat in here that the residual heat will kind of keep carrying over cooking it, and it will stay plenty warm. But since the muscle has been heated up, it's pushed out all the moisture. We want to let that moisture get back in. So we'll rest it, and we'll see you in 2 hours when it's time to shred. Okay, it's been a couple of hours, and it is time to shred. So let me pull this out over here. And it's kind of falling apart. You want to shred it up, kiddo?
Yeah.
So what we're doing when we're shredding, we're just kind of pulling it apart into pieces, and any like clumps of fat we find, we'll just pull out. And as you can see, there's plenty of juice left in here. What we're going to be doing after we get it shredded is we're going to add moisture back in until it's moist and tastes right. If it tastes too oily, then just add a little bit of apple cider vinegar, and that will cut the fat and cut the oil.
Good go.
Good to go.
Yep.
Okay, this looks pretty good. We have a little bit of fat that we pulled off. Let's throw that to the side. So I'm going to add, looks maybe just a hair dry. So I'm going to add just a little bit of juice if I can, and not make a huge mess. This is just what rendered down with that one. And then I'll toss it together. And I can already see it's a little bit more moist. Okay, do you want to give it a try, kiddo?
Yeah.
See what we have. See if it needs any vinegar. It's pretty good. I'm going to try to brighten it up just a little bit with some vinegar. Okay, give that a try. And that's all there is to it. If it's too dry, add a little bit more of your drippings and fat. If it tastes a little bit bland or slightly oily, add a little bit of apple cider vinegar, and that'll cut that fat and bring the flavor back out. And that's it.